Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Water Visions where I talk about MR or lower rarity units. Today's episode is all about Diaper Boy here, Tyrrell, who I have to say I'm very impressed with his EX upgrades, and he's not too bad of a unit, especially in PvE gameplay. Like, I feel like he's very strong in that sense. But in terms of PvP, well, you're gonna see that it's not too easy. But without further ado, let's go over what Tyrrell does. So Tyrrell here is an MR unit of the water attribute at cost 50. He is main job knight, just like how Balo was last week when I reviewed Balo. However, Tyrrell's sub jobs are Viking and Lancer. This puts him in the position of being more offensive than Balo, and you're gonna see why with his abilities. But before we go to his abilities, I just want to just show you his raw attack type resistance, elemental resistance. As you can see, he is neutral to both slash and missile resistance, but he has a weakness in strike and magic. And magic is really, really bad for him. However, he does have a 20% positive in Pierce. So if there's a Pierce meta again, which currently there isn't in PvP, then he can shine. And then obviously he's weak to lightning because he's a water unit, but and then some positive for fires. He can withstand sleep and toad up to 50%, but he's susceptible to slow and a little bit of poison while he's neutral to everything else. Now let's go over to his abilities. So let's start with his master ability. His master ability is HP plus 20%, and he gets more slash attack plus 10. This puts him in a bit of a more of a offensive role than Balo is. And you're going to see why with his EX upgrade. Just keep in mind that HP 20%. That's going to be important. So just like other main job knight class, he has access to a lot of different breaks. So I'm not going to go over the breaks because they're pretty much the same. TP break, AP break, and then if you look at his sub jobs, his sub night job, you can see magic break, orange break, speed break. So he has the breaks just like any other night class. His EX upgrades is what makes him different from other EX night jobs. So Balo was more of I do damage, absorb it, I try to survive. Tyrrell, on the other hand, wants to be as offensive as possible. So his first upgrade is his AP break, which turns into AP pilfer. Not only will it break the opponent's AP, but it will also absorb that much damage. If you saw my Tyrrell video for his PvE event, you see that this move is really, really good in PvE situations. Having to not only break the enemy but absorb all that AP as well makes it so that Tyrrell never has to use any equipment that gives him more AP regeneration, like Zeus's bells or Noctis's Trustmaster, stuff like that. So this is a really, really good upgrade for him. And then he also has one of his 120, his level 25 skill is a skill that reminds me of Pokemon in the day. Remember the move Flail, where the more damage you take, the more you dish out. This is a similar thing, but it's not based on where your HP is at to determine how much damage. This is more of how many times you take damage determines how much damage you're gonna deal with this move. So if you take up to 5 times damage, so they hit you 5 times, 5 different times, this is gonna deal a huge amount of damage back to the opponent. And again, this is great in PvE because you don't have to worry too much about getting one shot by a PvE enemy unit. So they could just hit Tyrrell and you just hit hard right back. This could single-handedly help you beat many maps in tough PvE. In raids, this could be really good because if Tyrrell gets hit and the chains are going off, he could use this as an ender, quote unquote, and it's gonna do a lot of damage pretty quick. And the AP cost for this is pretty good as well at 24. His AI will prioritize this move, and I think this is a really, really good move. So let's see. His other upgrade, which we were gonna have to look at the map because I can't remember. All right, his other upgrade is his divine healing. So normally divine healing will raise your HP, and it recovers that much HP that it raised. But now it adds a defense piercing rate, which adds on top to his offensive ability. So the AI will use this ability, give you a better chance of taking hits, and even gives you a better chance of doing dishing out the hits just as great. So this combined with his 25 skill, Grudge Blade, it's a good combination. And it makes him very, very, very offensive, for sure, compared to Balo. Now, because he's super offensive, and his HP pool is pretty decent, you saw his stats earlier, it is hard for him to take hits. He's not a tank class, so it's hard for him to take hits naturally. You have to build around that. Build so that he can take the hits, so that he can dish it out. If you build him purely offensively, he is more likely to just die really, really quick. So just keep that in mind. His sub jobs are pretty good as well. Viking is a really good sub job for him because he has access to Drain Cycle, which a lot of sub job Viking units don't have. This is more along the lines of main job Viking units that have this move. So for him to have it in his sub job makes his survivability even better, because if you have this procced and he takes some damage, you could just deal massive damage right back and heal off as well. And then he has access to stuff like Warcry, raises bravery, and then Rebellious Spirit that raises his attack defense for 3 turns, so he could take some hits even better. So Viking's not bad. And then Lancer's also really good as a sub job also, because it gives you a different attack type to work with. So if you're facing an enemy that's strong to slashing, you have piercing moves to utilize instead. And then he has access to pretty good pierce moves as well. Obliterate for a chance of doom. Nighthawk is for range. A sharp spear will increase his attack and critical hit. And then he has access to another AP break, and this one can hit 2 people if they're lined up back to back. So he's pretty good offensively, and I said this already, very good PvE unit. Let's look at his supports for a bit. So he has Viking Lord, which is one that I recommend to put on him. Raises his attack and HP. And then he has HP up, which raises his HP. Because the idea is that you want to raise his HP as much as possible. Remember how I said he has HP 20% as his master ability? You just want to stack up his HP, so that way you know he'll survive, and you know he can do his Grudge Blade and dish the damage right back. His other support abilities are pretty good as well. He has Pierce Mastery if you want to focus on his Lancer job. Deadly Mastery helps with critical hit rate. And then he has Unyielding Protection, which will give him, I believe, 20 in missile defense. Let's see. Let's double check on that. No, 15. So it'll turn that neutral missile defense to 15 resistance. So if you feel like you're facing missile units, then this is something you want to consider. And then he has Divine Protection, which I don't think you have to worry about him getting debuffs. His reaction abilities, on the other hand, are okay. He has access to Sword Guard, which chances of taking reduced damage, which I think is the recommended reaction ability you want on him. And then he also has Counter Thrust, which I think is good. It's good for if you put him in a raid situation. That way it can help with chains. And then he has Fighting Spirit, which I don't recommend because you have a chance of inflicting Berserk onto yourself, and you don't want that. Berserk is not a good status effect to have on you at all. So as you can see, very, very offensive unit. And we're going to go now to see how you can build towards this. Alright, so we're going to gear Tyrrell to try to give him as much HP as possible and see what we can do about his damage as well. So I'm here in the dual screen. So first things first, let's look at vision cards. So he has a lot of different vision cards you want to equip. Warder really does have good vision cards attached to him. The one I like the most is this one right here, Leviathan. Leviathan has party ability of Pierce Resistance. That goes for everyone. And then for Warder units, it gives area attack resistance. So this is already great off the bat for Tyrrell because it's going to add to his survivability. The bestowed abilities work for main job knight class as well as all these other classes. So he's going to get additional attack power here. And then on top of that, because he's a warder unit also and a knight main job knight class, he also has access to HP up and slash attack up. So that's perfect for Tyrrell. On top of all this, he gets an additional attack called Crash Edge, which is more akin to what I mentioned earlier with the move Flail from Pokemon, where the more HP you lost, the more damage this is going to do. So the conditions just means you have to be a knight class, sub or main, and he fits that perfectly. So this gives him access to another move that he can use. So this is one of my favorite equipments to put on him, but there's other equipments also to use. Another one that I think would be great on him. Let's see if I could find it real quick. Here we go. Clairvoyant Astrologer, and this gives a party ability of attack up 35% and also acquire AP up 35%. One thing about Tyrrell and other main job knight units is that they do struggle with AP. And although I did say he does have access to AP Pilfer, which will means he doesn't require bells or anything like that, the AI will not often use it on their own. But in manual play, it's a great move. So you want to make sure for autoplay, if you don't want to give him bells, then this is an option for you because you could get more AP out of it. And the party ability also gives warder units magic attack resistance up. So this is just by equipping this alone will help with his bad magic resistance. Now, fortunately, the bestowed abilities even though it has Lancer in here, it's only for main job Lancer, so he won't be affected by that. And the other bestow ability only works for Ramada. However, the vision ability, Armor Piercer, he does have access to because it's for main or sub job Lancers, and he's a sub job Lancer. So this gives him access to a nice range Pierce move that also has the ability to lower defense. So this is another option I think he can hold. And then another UR water card that's great for him to hold would be Thanks for the Volts. This is exclusive to the global version of the game. And it gives water units attack up 35 and some accuracy, as well as ups their damage limit. So this is great for rates. And then on top of that, water units get max HP up 15%. Again, you want to have his HP as high as possible. Unfortunately, the Man-Eater up doesn't work for him, but that's fine. So I just want to equip this real quick. And then let's see his HP. Which one has the better HP? So he has 4,868 with this card. And then let's put the Leviathan card on him. See how much he gets from that. If I can find it. I'm always passing the card. Leviathan. Where'd you go? Oh, there you go. See, I always pass the card. Alright, so let's see how much HP I get from the Leviathan card. 4,763. So it's a little bit less HP. But keep in mind, this also provides way more stuff for Tyrrell to use. An additional ability to utilize on field. On top of that, more resistance. So now he has 40% in pierce resistance. Overall, I think the Leviathan card is a little bit better. But you can't go wrong with the other card either. In terms of MR cards, there is one I do want to highlight for the MR card that he can hold. Two to be exact. First is the Chocobo card. It has decent HP on it. It gives a party agility 10%. But then bestowed ability defense up 10%, 10. So it'll be great for him to hold. It'll help with his defensive. And then there's also Path to Revenge, which is similar to the Chocobo card that gives bestowed defense up 10, but also gets party ability / attack up 20. So this is great for him to hold as well, and it has a bit more HP. So if you're looking for MR version cards, those two are ones that I do recommend. I haven't tested this out, but this might be another one that will help with his resistance a bit. But keep in mind that the max HP down 15% might make his survivability worse. Not too sure. I have to test it out, but this can be an option as well. Now, for Espers, there's 3 Espers I did residence for him. Titan for the bulkiness, and if you're focused on his Lancer sub job, which I am, then this will help him a lot, do more pierce damage. And with the bulkiness, he'll have more spirit in his kit, so it can help with his survivability towards magic attacks. Then you have Odin. Odin's pretty much great for any / unit, physical / unit, because he gives Man-Eater / up, and then if you don't want to go the offensive route, then he has the defensive route of missile defense and / defense, I believe. So he has that. So that's another good Esper to have. And then Siren. Siren's water, so he aligns with that perfectly. If he ever summons Siren, it's gonna imperil the field with water. It'll help him do more damage. On top of that, Siren has some pierce attack up in her spear, as spear grid, as well as I believe a water attack up. So it really it works with Tyrrell as well. So these are the top 3 I recommend, with Titan being number 1 if you are focused on his Lancer sub job. If you're not focused on his Lancer sub job and you have his Viking sub job, then go Odin. And then, in terms of gear, so he uses swords, just like any other knight. The swords I like to use that people may have access to. So Spine Blade is one sword that you give him because it has a defense piercing rate 20%. Then if you were around for Final Fantasy X, giving him Titus's Brotherhood sword works for him as well because it gives him some crit, slash attack up, and ward attack up. Perfect for him. And then the one sword that I recommend would be the Nagarat, the assault version of Nagarat, because this gives attack 162, and on top of that, slash attack up 15. So if you have him on the Odin card and you're going to be doing a lot of slashing moves, just stack up the slash as much as you can so he can do damage. And this would be the perfect sword to do that with. So we're going to equip that. So as you can see, just with this setup alone, he's already in the 1,000 marks. Like, I didn't even put anything else on him. In terms of armor piece or accessories, you have the Elf's Cloak, which will help bring his pierce resistance up by 10. So if you give him the Leviathan card like we did now, then let's equip this real quick. So we just see real quick. Now his pierce resistance at 50%, which is pretty good just from one armor piece and one card. And that could go up even more if you wanted to. So you got that as an option. If you have the Knight's Armor, this is pretty good to help mitigate his magic resistance a bit, because magic is everywhere in the PvP spectrum. So this is a nice option. Gives him I have the barrier version, so he has spirit. It'll give spirit 20 and then magic attack resistance 10. It will help out his resistance, especially if you give him the clairvoyance card on top of that. And then when Tower returns, this is another good option for players to have. The Tide Ring. It will give fire attack resistance up 20, water attack resistance up 15, but at the cost of evasion down 20. Tyrrell's not an evasion unit whatsoever, so this would be perfect for him because it's going to give him a little bit more attack, give him more HP, on top of that some defense and spirit, which is not bad. And yeah, those are the ones I recommend. Anything else that helps with his HP and then provides some sort of resistance would do it for him. So let's leave it like this for now. And then for Trust Masters, like I said earlier, his AI doesn't prioritize the pilfer that much, so you want to be mindful for that and auto PvP. But if you do manual PvP, you don't need stuff like Bells or Lucille's Trustmaster. But if you're doing auto, then you might want to consider that. The best one would be actually Noctis's Trustmaster, which I don't have, because that will give him AP regeneration and protect at the same time. So he'll get more AP and be a bit more defensive as well. Another option that I think would be great for Tyrrell would be the Exotic Peru, because this will grant him Shell and give him some more AP as well. And then let's see. I think any Trustmaster that will help with AP restoration as well as provide him with some sort of defense would be the best one to use for Tyrrell. The one I personally like using is Galatia's Trustmaster White Wolf's Armor, which has AP recovers AP and gives him slash resistance, because slash is another common attack type, and he's neutral to slash, so this is not a bad armor piece. So I'm gonna equip that, and then boom. So right now we have Tyrrell at 6,700 HP with this much attack, and then let's just say his partners are 2 water units, because they have a water ability each. Titus could hold his own card, which will give party ability slash up, critical hit rate up, and max HP up. Boom. And then Aerith here, she's a water mage, so we could give her the Vow to Me again, which gives agility of 15%, missile attack of resistance, and lightning resistance. Boom. So now let's look at Tyrrell. Now Tyrrell has 7,317 HP. The attack is still kind of staying, but keep in mind that his slash attack is up more, and he has a chance of critting more. And as you can see, 50% in pierce, 10% in missile, 10% in lightning, thanks to both the card and him holding Titan. And then boom, that's it. You could ignore this fate. You want his fate to be in the 50s if you're planning on using bells. If you're not, then try to get it lower. This is because I accidentally cheered on him too many times. But yeah, so this is an example of how to build a Tyrrell team. Now we're going to get into the team comp I used for today's showcase. Okay, today's PvP setup is one that I just wanted to see if this will actually work. And this is going to be an anti-magic build Tyrrell. So normally you don't want to stick Tyrrell towards magic users because he has a 25% weakness to magic. However, when you start putting stuff like Titan that brings up his spirit, give him magic defense armor, and give him this, and then pair him up with Aerith, who has a magic barrier, then things start to click, and you're wondering, can he take magic hits if all this is stacked to him? So currently this is how his build looks. He does have less HP than what my sample build has, but that should be okay. And then if you look at his resistance, I put his magic resistance in the positives a little bit. And yeah, we're going to see if this can work. Partners for Tyrrell, you want to stick Tyrrell in a team with water units for that water bonus abilities that most water units have, that gives more HP and more water attack up. And Titus is another offensive partner for him to have. However, I think the best offensive partner for Tyrrell to have would be Farm. Unfortunately, I don't have Farm to test this out. But Farm is a ninja unit, so she has some evasion in her kit. She also has access to Dream a Dream, which is a 3-hit chain move. And if you build up the chain, then Tyrrell could go in and finish up the job with his Grudge Blade. And because Farm is evasive, more likely the enemy unit will go after Tyrrell, which gives him more chances to get take hits, so he could dish out the hits in return. You just have to make sure Tyrrell can take the hits. But I don't have Farm, so today we're going to try Elena as the partner, because she also has some chain slash moves that Tyrrell can take advantage of. And she's also a evasive unit. I do have mine's build awkwardly weird because I wanted to try some things out. So this is probably not an optimum build for Starlight Elena, but I don't care. This is all for fun anyway. So I have stuff like her her forehead move on. I turned off Stella Maris because I want her to be a bit selfish and do these two and then walk off while Tyrrell and Aerith do their own thing. And then I gave her Rune Knight some job just for the drain evocation. Everything else is off. So this map has a lot of ledges, so people are going to be split up a bit. For Tyrrell himself, I have his AP Piffler on, and then I have his Trinity Break on, but he's not going to use it that much. Power Break is off. Grudge Blade is on because I want him to use that the most. The AI does prioritize that the most. Everything else in his sub job is off. For Lancer, I pretty much have a lot of things on. I think I have this off, right? Yeah, I have this off. I have Nighthawk off because I want him to do Grudge Blade more than Nighthawk. But I have his Sharp Spear on, Mana Strike on, Burst Slash on, and then Shadow Stick on. And then, yeah, pretty much the standard stuff to increase his HP. So that's that. And then Aerith, she is not, she is also Rune Knight sub job because I want to try things out. Why not? But her main job is to put on the barrier, re-raise. Where's the barrier at? Okay, here you go. The barrier, and then the re-raise, and then she does cast refocus if she can't do anything else, which is great because she'll target Tyrrell, who will want the AP, and it really helps out a lot there. And then I put her a Rune Knight Blade, Knight sub job because she does have access to Water God Blade, which could chain with Tyrrell if need be, and then gave her Drain Evocation so that she could have more survivability as well. Everything else is off because I'm not worrying about that. Normally, for Aerith, you want Time Mage sub job, but again, trying things out. Just want to see how things play out. Alright, so our first matchup here is going to be against Halloween Leela, Duane, and Helena. So it's a pretty much top tier team to go up against. Let's see how well Tyrrell can take the hits off of these magic units. And the ideal opening would be for Aerith to put on the shield on Tyrrell, while Elena does her own power-ups on her own, and then she moves in for attacking. If there's enough time, Tyrrell will do his divine power second before moving in for the attack. So as you can see here, Aerith is doing her shield, and Tyrrell puts up a shell and gains some more AP. So Tyrrell's set to take on some magic hits. And now Elena moved in for the attack because she's drawn by the hate that Duane is producing. Normally she would go off on the side on this map, but as you can see here, this Helena is hitting really hard. She one-shot Elena, but Elena had courage, which procced, and now Aerith put on the re-raise on Tyrrell, so Tyrrell is completely set up. He is set up, he's ready for attacking, and now let's see what happens. So Halloween tries to revive Duane, and it fails, thankfully, but then Helena finishes the job. So now it's 2v2. Aerith's gonna go in and do Water God Blade onto Halloween Leela, and Tyrrell's gonna move in to do some armor piercing damage onto Helena. So now Helena is gonna do her LB, and one thing to note about Tyrrell is that he does have low speed for attacking unit, so he's gonna get lapped a lot, and you're gonna see here that it's gonna be a while before he gets his next turn. But since everyone's focused on Aerith, it buys him enough time for him to react. So now he's gonna do his armor piercer, which is gonna knock out little Leela, but then Helena's gonna be able to attack both of them. So this is the first attack that hit Tyrrell, and he took it pretty well. So now second attack here, which knocks out Tyrrell, but thankfully he has re-raids so he could come up again. Unfortunately, not enough AP to retaliate, so he's going after the crystal, and he's gonna heal himself up. Now that this Helena has no more AP, so she's gonna normal attack, so that's 3 hits. But we get a burst thrust instead of Grudge Blade, which nets us the win, which is still good. Alright, our next team is against Elena, Jayden, and Yuna, who are another set of top tier units you're gonna see in PvP content, especially since they're all light units. So we're set up to face against magic attackers, and these are all magic attackers with different attack types: missile, magic, and slash. So let's see how well Tyrrell can take the hits. And to start things off, Elena is gonna power each other up with light dark resistance, as well as slash attack up, magic up, and agility, while we just have a small little shield. But that's fine. We're setting up our defenses while they set up their offenses and defenses, and we raise onto Elena, which means this fight is gonna be a while as well. But again, that's okay. This is to see how light teams work. Well, Jayden moves in. He's in range to attack Tyrrell, so that's Tyrrell's first hit. And Tyrrell is not in range, so he's going to do his defense piercing rate power up and gain some more HP, while Aerith sets up a re-raise onto him, so now he's completely set up and he just needs to go in to do some damage. So Jayden's now going to go off to Aerith because she's in range and Tyrrell's at a higher ledge. I'm not too sure if he suffers some height issues. I don't think he does, but Aerith was in range, so he went after that. And Yuna did some big damage to Elena. Again, my Elena's not set for evasion too well, but then again, that was a guarantee hit anyway. Alright, so now here's the real short. Let's see how much damage Tyrrell can take from this limit break from enemy Elena. And he took it pretty well. It's about half his health. The thing is, the agility down you don't want on him because again he gets slapped pretty easily. So now he did a grudge right back, which did a lot of damage towards the enemy Elena, and it puts her into 2-shot range. And Yuna's down, so we don't have to worry about healing anymore. This Elena is set for Rune Knight sub job because it's doing the Grudge Blade, which Tyrrell took. So Tyrrell reached the maximum 5 hit limit at this point. So now Grudge should be doing the maximum damage. So now he tries to Grudge again. Sadly, he misses because the Elena dodges, and our Elena is gonna make her way towards the battle. While this Elena still goes after Tyrrell. Tyrrell takes that hit pretty well, but he gets chained off, and no, he's not down. So he gets a heal from Aerith, and Elena's moving even closer. I guess height is not an issue for Jayden because he's going after Elena, who's a higher ledge than him. I guess he just wanted to go after Aerith after all. But here Aerith decides to heal off Elena and not Tyrrell. Tyrrell tries to do another attack but misses. This team doesn't have too much accuracy on them, so it's understandable for Tyrrell to miss, and eventually he goes down. But he has re-raise, so his the attacks that done on him are still there. Unfortunately, he gets chained down and he goes down for a count. So now it's just up to the 2 ladies. So with a magic setup, magic defense setup, we can see that Tyrrell can take the hits pretty well. If I set this team up to have more slash resistance and missile resistance, then I'm confident that Tyrrell with Aerith can take down light meta teams, whether they feature Jayden or not. And yeah, Tyrrell will be able to take the hits because Tyrrell would have his support ability to give him more missile defense. Then you could add the Valid Meet Again card for even more missile defense. I think it's really doable that the pair of Tyrrell and Aerith could work against light magic teams. But as you can see here, the fight's wrapping up. Aerith tries to go for attack, but Elena dodges. We won thanks to time. Alright, for our final match, we're going to go up against a water mage team. So more, some are Ellise and Miranda. Miranda is one of the latest units to get their EX upgrade. So it's going to be nice to see how she functions on the battlefield. I know for sure that one of her upgrades is the spell changes her Jantry Thrust to Dispel Thrust, which will remove buffs. And my team is focused on relying on buffs on the battlefield for survivability. So Miranda is gonna be a problem. I know that for sure. But at least we get to see how her AI works a bit, because I don't think she's shown off too much, and I feel like she's slightly underrated. But we'll see. We'll see how people play with her. So everyone's setting up their first turn. Moore's going to be the first to do an attack, and she's firing off with her beautiful, beautiful Limit Break, which is going to do some damage to Tyrrell. Not that bad. Took about a third of his health, but now he has the water resistance down, so now he's going to be taking even more damage from this team. So we saw there that Miranda doing the Dispel Thrust, and we see that Tyrrell does his Grudge Blade onto Moore, which did pretty good damage just from one attack that he took. So I can only imagine how much it would have done if it was more hits from Moore. So Moore launches an attack again, and then she runs off to try to get into a higher position. And now we see someone else doing her Limit Break. And it procs the courage for Elena, while Aerith does her Limit Break so she can heal off Tyrrell. So at the moment we're doing okay against this team, but it's not looking too good because they're outspeeding us and they're doing more damage. And Elena's down for the count, so now it's 3 versus 2. So Tyrell's not in range to do any attack, but he's gonna up his defense piercing rate. Unfortunately, Summer Ilse is holding the Holiday Party card, so she has a way of breaking our attack and magic. And thankfully, even though Moore knocked Tyrrell out, Tyrrell came back to re-raise, and Aerith was able to heal him off. So now, Tyrrell does a Burst Slash to knock out Moore, and now it's 2 versus 2. Summer Ilse is still breaking the attack, while Aerith is healing us off. But it's allowing Miranda to move in even closer. So we got our buffs set up again, our Spirit Magic Defense. Unfortunately, Tyrell's run out of AP and couldn't do anything but gain some more AP. So now everyone's going to go after Aerith, but her counter ability is going to proc twice in a row, allowing her to survive a bit longer. And yeah, Tyrell's slow, but because he's not fully targeted, this allows him to gain a turn and go after Summer Ilse. But unfortunately, now Aerith is down, and now it's a 1 versus 1, Miranda versus Tyrrell. So Tyrrell goes in, does his Grudge Blade. Not a lot of damage because he's still under the break effect that Summer Ilse put on him. I believe that was the last turn though, because Tyrrell received all 5 attacks, so the Grudge Blade should be doing the most damage. On top of that, Miranda does have good slash resistance and defense, so even though it's doing the maximum, it's not going to do as much as I want it to do because of that. But it's enough to win the match at the very least. So my final thoughts for Tyrrell here is I highly recommend you EX him whenever you have the chance. It doesn't have to be right away, but if you don't have a main job knight unit in your roster, then Tyrrell will probably be the better one to EX, at least better than Balo. I still haven't tried out Lilith to determine that, but so far he's way up there in terms of characters to EX for the MR lower rarity units, simply because of his AP Pilfer move that would be great in PvE situations. And I can't stress that enough because that's just such a good move to have in for any level PvE content. And in terms of PvP, you can throw him in cost matches, but just be mindful that the AP Pilfer move might not be used on an auto. So just keep that in mind. You want to consider using AP restoration stuff. But another thing you gotta keep in mind is his weakness to magic. If you're not building towards that, then you're probably gonna struggle, because when it comes to class matches, cost restricted PvP content, you're gonna run into opponents randomly. You can't pick and choose, so you have to be mindful with his resistance. If you face magic units, or you think you're gonna face magic units, then pair him up with a magic tank or someone that could take magic hits. But then that takes away from him taking hits himself, so that way you could dish out Grudge Blade even more for even more damage. So just gotta keep that in mind. He's a bit tricky in terms of PvP. I feel like he can be great in PvP. Maybe I'll work with him a bit more, but I do recommend EXing him. Doesn't have to be right away, but I recommend EXing him. I recommend getting the move. If you're gonna EX him, get Grudge Blade. It's such a great ability. And that's it for this video. It's a bit longer than normal, but I really enjoyed Tyrrell as a unit, and I'm gonna be putting him in a lot of PvE teams going forward, just because of that AP Pilfer. And I hope to see you guys next time. Hope you enjoyed this video. Laters.